We're here at Schwab Impact 2018 in Washington, D.C., probably the biggest advisory conference in the country and of the year. We have over 5,000 advisors here starting to talk about what is the innovation happening in the space, where is the industry going, and what's the future of the financial advisory world look like. Schwab is a leader on the custodian side, and so they bring everybody together to have those conversations. And we're lucky enough today to be here with Bob Nachman, who is actually going to have a great story because we just transitioned from the Wells Fargo world or the BD world all the way into being an RIA and utilizing Schwab as a custodian. So Bob, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
So why don't you first off tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your firm and what you all are doing for clients today.
Okay. Personally, I've been in I got in this business at age 22 straight out of college and started, as probably many people did, trying to cold call people and get them to buy stock over the phone, which has had many evolutions over the last 32 years into the high net worth wealth management business. I got together with the partners of our firm, some of them as long as 30 to 31 years ago. And we were all historically in the broker-dealer world. We did become part of an independent broker-dealer about 11 years ago. So we have been operating our own independently owned business for about 11 years. But we have been in the broker-dealer world. We probably have always known we needed to be in the RIA world, but have took our time getting there because everything was going well and we knew it would be a big project to tackle. But over the last 2 years, we finally made the decision we began to research the process and made the decision to make the move about a year ago, and we pulled the trigger on that on May the 1st of this year.
So let's talk about that. And we were talking about that a little bit before. Because there's a lot of people out there, and the trend now is that the RIA space is evolving and becoming more of the ideal environment. So if there's someone out there listening that is in the broker-dealer world, whether it's independent or part of the BD itself, tell them about what the transition is, right? It's not all roses all the time, but talk about what the transition's been like, and then what are some of the positives that have come out of it for you? I have talked to many people who have asked us about how the transition has gone over the last year or so, and I in terms of a score of how well we did it on the surface, I'd give us an A+. But we discovered that it is a far more challenging transition than probably most people are willing, especially those who are trying to get you to make the change, are willing to tell you. And we are planners at heart. We spent probably a year and a half preparing to make the change, and we certainly covered a lot of bases and felt like we had all of our ducks in a row, which we really probably did. But once we got through the first challenge, which is to move all of your assets, which we did very successfully. In fact, Schwab said it was the quickest large conversion they've ever done. But then we came to realize that there was a lot more work once you get over, per se, to the RIA world than we thought. So we have been, most of that has been technology, which has been just getting the performance reporting and the financial planning software and the CRM and all the pieces, not just working, but fully functional and adopted within the firm, as well as getting our clients adjusted to what has been a pretty big change from what they're used to. Right. And part of that process of getting all those technologies together, what have you seen be the most helpful to accomplish that? I know it's not fully accomplished yet, and you still probably have a little bit of time to go, but what did you find as being really, really impactful and helpful to you all as you started integrating all these new technologies on your own?
in terms of for our own use.
Yeah.
I would say there's no doubt there's been a good upgrade in our financial planning capabilities. But I actually think it's been the most challenging piece, the performance reporting piece, without a doubt. But I actually think it's starting to provide and probably will provide the most value to ourselves and our clients going forward. In fact, I think the client portal and the account aggregation and some of that will really be a significant uptick for us and our clients.
Right, and especially on the performance management. Anytime you move, even if you're already independent, moving to a new performance management system, it's a pain in the butt to get all the historical data over so that you have consistency, and you're not just saying, well, this is how we've done since May 1st of 2018, right?
Actually, we because we were on a proprietary system, which is the way it is with most of the broker-dealer world, we made the decision that we were okay to cut off the historical performance in general, but we do have the ability to recreate some of the historical data. We're actually not doing it on a wholesale basis. We're doing it on a case-by-case basis. So we actually do have probably 80% of our client base where we're hoping that we can all adjust to forgetting about those.
Right.
At least having them in the system. We have them electronically saved, but so that's been a big change.
How do the clients take that? Because I mean, that's what everybody's biggest concern is when they make the shift, is how the clients will react.
I probably haven't heard much about it to date. I think it's probably makes us, in the current environment, it's making us look a little worse because the numbers are now probably negative for most of the clients since May 1 when we made the cutover. So when they when they sign in, all they see is a negative number in many cases. Had we had the historical data, it probably would make us look better, but I haven't heard a lot of pushback from that. In fact, we are so planning based that we don't spend as much time talking about the performance anyway.
Right.
So we've had very little pushback, and I think where we thought we would have the most pushback, those are the ones we've been recreating the historical numbers for anyway.
But it's the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the people will be really big on it, while 80% won't even matter. And I think that.
But it would be easier if we were up 10% since May 1 when we made the conversion.
Then everything would look great, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things is about moves. Everybody worries about how their clients will react, and it always falls back to 80% of the time your clients are going to be just fine with the changes that you make from a technology or move in to become independent. What is the reason? What's the biggest intrigue of moving to being an RIA for you and your partners? What was the biggest rationale there?
We probably had a list that was pages long on a yellow pad, and we probably spent 6 or 9 months exploring and going around and looking at various custodians and various options. And then one day, I think it just dawned on me that at the end of the day, even though there was a list of 100 particular reasons to make the change, at the end of the day, I think we came to the conclusion that if we want to really be the best and if we want to really be able to compete in a rapidly changing world, we needed to be in a much more flexible working environment to be able to do that. So I think that really was the overriding sort of the summary of the many little things that added up to make us do it.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. And that independence allows you a lot more flexibility. And I think where I wanted to go next was outside of that transition and looking more at the industry as a whole, right? There's lots of headlines, and when we hear about them all the time here, whether it's the market or it's the innovation that's happening and why firms need to be worried or why they shouldn't be worried. I want to talk on both sides of this coin of what are 1 or 2 headlines that give you the most worry out there today, and then what are 1 or 2 headlines that makes you most excited about our industry and where it is today relative to when you're starting out just making cold calls and dialing for dollars and making trades.
I don't know that I think we look at it the same as probably most people. I think the fee compression part probably doesn't worry us as much as maybe fee choice, but fee compression doesn't worry us a ton because of the type. Our fees are already moderate because of the type of clients we work with. We think our fees are pretty moderate. The part that probably worries me the most is just between tech and future generations, lumping that together is, could the world change so quickly that this business just gets flipped upside down, and that there's, particularly in the future generations, there's not going to be people who care to work with people like us or pay for advice. But the more I'm a worrier about stuff like that at heart, and the more I worry about it, sometimes I have to remind myself of the counter argument to that, which I just recently discovered. I was in the last year of the baby boom. I didn't really. I used to be a denier of that, but apparently 1964 is the final year. So I'm a good example. But as much as we worry about future generations, and I do think there's arguments of why they will use advice and they will pay, but I do remind myself that there's still a long runway of the baby boom generation where there is a lot of money, and that where there are people who are going to continue to use advisors like us and pay for those services. So I think that's probably, I think that's certainly, to me, that's a positive. As much as we worry about the baby boom passing the money down, there's still a long way before that happens, I think. And the second piece would be that I really do think our industry is changing, and I think the brokerage business as we know it, and the one-man shops at Merrill Lynch and the big wirehouses, I think, are going to be the losers in the long term, and the winners are going to be the good guys running the best practices, doing it right, and more of those, I think, are in the RIA world. So I think there's going to be I think the winners could win big at the expense of a lot of the rest of the people in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, you say that there's more of them in the RA space, which means that there are good guys over in the BD world. It's just that they're fewer and far between, and you're starting to see, like you all, is that the good guys are starting to move over to the RA space. And when Dad built our firm 25 years ago, he was a unique case to go into the RA world at that time. On the side of the baby boomer generation, right? Every conference you go to, and it happens here too, talks about generational wealth shift, right? Shifting of wealth, and everybody, you got to start planning for it. And I think that there's really rarely in building a company do you plan for something that's like 25 years out, right? You plan for 5, 10 years, but you're not really building your business in the sense of, or making strategic initiative decisions for something that may not happen for 20 years. And I think that the baby boomer generation is still a really valuable part of the business, and also the wealth transfer is real.
Sure.
But I think it's not going to happen like that. It's going to be gradual over the next 30 years, where you make small incremental shifts as a business to really get to that
And there's
point.
no telling what this business will look like in 30 years, because I know what it looked like 32 years ago, and it's
It doesn't look the same.
not even recognizable.
I agree. Talk about your firm now, and I know that this is going to be kind of a question that puts you. You're a little bit in limbo because you're still getting all the processes in place. But where do you think you all are most efficient today? And if you say, well, we're still in limbo, where do you want your firm to be the most efficient firm once everything kind of gets up and running and revving on all cylinders?
That is a very interesting question today, because we're the piece that has historically been our most efficient piece is under reconstruction right now. So we have had a automated service model and workflows that go with that for about 11 years. We were probably pretty early adopters in that relative to most people, and that has really driven our efficiency over the last 11 years. In fact, I'm not sure, but I'm sure we've at least
doubled, if not grown by more than that in those 11 years, and been able to do that because of the backbone that we built with this automated service model. Right now, that is completely
It's all right.
on hold. That's the last piece that we are bringing back up, and we're actually switching our entire system in the next few months. So I'm still convinced that will be where the efficiency will be. And it'll only be better once we get this new system in place. So we've been able to manage a growing client base and a growing workforce and a growing workload while still giving what I believe is top-notch service to our clients. So I still think that's where we will see the most efficiency going forward.
So without spilling the secret sauce of how y'all do it, what does that look like? When you say an automated service model and workflows, and how give some sense of, can you give some sense into what that kind of looks like?
We have and it's probably not rocket science, we developed a 5-year service model cycle we did this about 11 years ago, so every client is on a 5-year cycle. And some of the services happen every quarter, some of the services that aren't as critical are annually or every couple of years. There's some that are every 5 years unless something were to come along to change that. So we first built this service model just on an Excel spreadsheet, and we then we've been using Microsoft Dynamics in the past. We had that service model put into customized workflows for us. So, and it really all just starts with our administrative assistant popping up that day who are the clients that we're scheduled to meet with in the next month or next 2 months, and as she begins to set those meetings, it triggers a variety of workflows, sending it to our financial planning team, who then sees, all right, this is year 1, quarter 2, meeting 3, and these are the things we promised that we would analyze for that meeting. And it sends the workflows throughout the office until those are complete. We have that also for our prospect process and new accounts and other workflows like that. But really the service model has been the one that has been key, which has helped us be able to make sure that we do everything we promised for our clients.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Is delivering value and service to the end client and time again. Which CRM are you all using right now?
We're still using Microsoft Dynamics, and probably we'll hang on to it a little bit, but we're in the middle of switching to Salesforce through Salenica.
Yep.
So, which I haven't been as involved in, but
you'll be able to take your workflows to an extreme next level.
We're about halfway through that as we speak, hoping to have that hopefully running in the next couple months.
So talk about some of the challenges that you've identified within your firm, some of the hurdles that you all are constantly trying to overcome in terms of delivering unique value or differentiated value, or just value in general to your clients that you're starting to see in this environment. From hiring, it could be from communication, from investment management, the markets, whatever it may be. What are some of the challenges, one or two, that you all are facing?
Our challenge has been right now we're at a pretty interesting juncture in our business lives, and I think that's probably would be the case of any business evolving from a couple guys doing it themselves to now becoming a more mature business. So we have sort of we've done it by ourselves for the last 11 years. And as you know, in our business, being a good financial advisor does not necessarily make you into a great business person. So we are,
very true.
And we've grown we have 17 or 18 employees now. So the whole operation of the business is getting more challenging, and that goes to IT at a time when we've taken on more IT challenges internally. That goes to our personnel and our training for our employees, and it goes to just being able to execute. So I think ours in the next couple of years, which we're beginning to work on, is going to be how to build out a more professional management structure of our business, which will help, without a doubt, the client side, but it'll also help us as a well-run business.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap this up because I know that you want to get back to some of the great speakers here. Two questions that I'll kind of let you go here is one is first, what is your, in a dream case scenario, what are you hoping technology can provide, right? As you go for the next 2 years, 3 years, what do you want out of technology within your firm to help you accomplish the strategic goals and initiatives that you all have?
I'm not sure I have the perfect answer for that yet, but I think we need to have a far better internal technology system and management to be able to drive efficiency in our practice, because I think that will provide us more and more time for better advice and for serving our clients, and that's where we like to spend our time. So internally, we need to just we need to move a little bit from some of the dark ages of how we've done things in the past and become a lot more efficient. On the client side, I'm not sure I'm positive of the answer to that. We're thinking about some of that. I mean, I do think we need to have a, single sign-on type experience for clients to be able to access all of their plan and portfolio information in one place, which we're getting to right now. And I think probably a little bit better ability for clients to probably communicate with us, whether that's via be able to chat immediately with an advisor if they need to, or communicate more easily on top of the personal one-on-one meetings. I think I'd love to see more access for them to be able to do things with their finances, but be able to communicate with us more quickly should they want to. That's probably where we are at the moment. But
yeah, and it all changed, and so we are in a conference where everybody's looking for the next best prediction, right? Everybody wants to take out their crystal ball and give us the answers, and so we all sit there looking at people on stage to give it to us. So I'm going to give you that opportunity to be put on stage, all right, with the crystal ball of what is the client advisor relationship or the financial advisory world, what does it look like 5 years from now? You've seen it change and evolve drastically. Where are we 5 years from now? What is different when we look back 5 years from now about the industry as a whole? And take your time on that one. That's a big loaded question that everybody's going to be hanging on every last word for.
Yeah. I honestly think there is enough. I think we're always going to have the personal. So I think this business will always be about the personal side, but I do think the experience will have to be far more high tech and immediate, as I was just talking. It's going to need to be easy, and it's going to need to be more high tech with more advice and more service. But I think that all will lead to, if you've got the technology and the tools and the efficiencies, I think that's actually going to all lead to more human touch, not less. So I think you can do both. I think we can have high tech and efficiency and greater communication, but more time to be directly with clients on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with that, because when you think about it, 5 years ago, everybody was worried about the robo-advisors and what they were going to do to our industry and how they were going to take it over. And now everybody says, well, I need to just start adopting a robo-advisor into my practice for the Henry model or the young accumulator model or whatever it may be. And then you look 5 years from now, I think that we're going to continue to get further and further away from that concept of technology taking our job away, because we've all realized that there's a human that is going to be needed in the relationship. They're not going to be able to make technology to have that emotional connection.
As much as I worry about that, I think that is correct. And in fact, you can go back to, Charles Schwab himself when Mayday in the 72 or 74 when commissions were no longer regulated, and Charles Schwab was the leader of that charge. You go back to the discount brokerage days. There's been at all times there's massive fear of what's going to drive us out of the business. I think that's actually good, or we wouldn't keep improving. But I'm not convinced it's going to be change the fact that everybody ultimately does like personal attention.
It's a matter of, like you said, how do you use technology to allow us to give more personal attention to more people, right? And that's the nature of the beast.
But we will have to be better at it.
Right. We'll have to continue to evolve from the dialing for dollars and making the trades that way. So, again, thank you, Bob Nachman, to joining us.
Thank you.
And
Pleasure.
Appreciate you taking some time away from this great conference. And we'll be with you with some more great conversations here from Schwab Impact 2018.